crafters. Welcome into Guys Craft 2. My name is John, and thanks for being here this afternoon, this evening. Always excited to have a good chat and always excited to talk about the week behind and the week ahead. Tonight, I have a special guest. I have Sean with me from The Guy Who Sews. So welcome in, Sean.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you. I've had you on my channel a couple of times, and it's really neat that I'm able to return the favor and hang out with you for a little while.
No, this is awesome. I so appreciate you reciprocating. God, I guess we've been kind of chatting back and forth for about 2 years ever since I
Yeah, I was
started
going
my
to say
channel.
2 years is about right. So, yeah, I know time flies. It really does.
It does. Somebody asked me the other day, goes, "Well, how long have you been quilting?" And I said, "Well, I'm really new. I'm still trying to get it all figured out." And then I was like, "Wait a minute, I started 3 years ago in October." So yeah, it's just
Yeah, you've done an amazing job with the time that you've had. I thought you've been doing a lot longer, to be honest. So,
no. And I feel like I just started yesterday. I still read some patterns and instructions, and I'm like, guys, I'm not even sure if I understand what that means. So
yeah, and I mean, it all depends on how the pattern writer does it too. You may know everything, all kidding aside, but being able to, some people do it a lot better than others, or we all learn differently too. So I might read pattern A and understand it perfectly well, whereas person B and C might not, and then the same thing in reverse. And the next pattern, I'll be like, what are they talking about? But the beauty of that is we always have our communities, like our Facebook groups, our Discord groups, and that sort of thing. There, we can always reach out and ask our buddies for help, because we're not the only ones doing this, and we always have people that are just more than willing to help out as well. So thankfully we're not alone in this.
no, no, and I tell you what, it's that kinship and it's that partnership that really has made a difference for me, right? I mean, I'm lucky. I have a amazing quilt club here with just so women that are so supportive and very, very patient. But at the same time, it's the YouTube community and being able to reach out to different ones and um, partner and say, "Hey, I don't even know what this means." I remember one day I reached out to Danielle and said, "I don't even know where to start. I don't understand this at all." And she just laughed and said, "Here's how you do it." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, she's fun. I talk to Donnell quite a bit, and I think I don't know if she's still in Tennessee at the retreat or they just finished. But yeah, she's been having a good time this week. From what I know, I haven't really talked to her. I think they've been out bush somewhere in the middle of nowhere, like at a state park. So I don't know. I know Donna said something about them not having a whole lot of reception, so cell phone reception. So
Yeah, I remember
which
Danielle said she was hoping to broadcast or to do some shorts or something, but she wasn't sure she needed to do anything. So, Sean, what do you have going on your channel lately?
uh, let me see, everything and nothing. I'm doing my regular stuff. I'm doing my lives on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. So if anyone wants to be up bright and early in the morning, you know where to come over and hang out. I have my podcast episodes at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sundays, and then I throw out some other videos and shorts and that as time allows as well. So yeah, just working on different projects. The one I'm working on today is one that I've called Misha's Quilt, and it's just a series of applique blocks that I've done. This was
Yeah.
for our first exchange student that came in 2019, 2020. We had this grand plan to do like 120 blocks, and I did about 65 of them, and it just kind of sat to the side for 4 or 5 years. And I showed this in a recent video and had quite a few people say, hey, go ahead and put that together. And I've got enough to make like a nice lap size or maybe even a twin bed quilt. So we're
Okay.
just going to put together what we have. It looks fantastic. About halfway through so far, so it's coming together quite quickly too. So that's what I got working on, and then I've got some art east projects, cotton cuts. Yeah, everything's a lot of stuff's going on. You'll have to go over to the channel and check it out because there's too much to mention.
I love the dachshund that's on that. What you're
Oh yeah,
working on.
this was Little Bandit.
Yeah.
This is actually an applique. This one here and Copper, the Beagle, these are actually applique patterns that you can purchase from the Country Caboodle. is the name of the shop.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they have all sorts of wonderful applique patterns for just about every breed of dog, and I think they may have some for cats and some other animals as well. But yeah, they have some. They're really neat. They're really easy to cut out and use. They're reusable. I've used them a couple of times already, and they're not expensive. I think they're like $6 or $7 a piece. They weren't super expensive, and they may have a PDF option as well. I bought them at a quilt show here in Hampton a few years back, and they've come in quite handy. So, yeah, that was nice that I was able to use it for that block.
Yeah, you're lucky to be close enough to the Hampton Roads area. When I lived in um, Virginia, I lived down in Roanoke area, and
Right.
so we spent a lot of time going to Virginia Beach and going up to but the Hampton Coliseum and all that area is always seems like they've always got something cool happening.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate where I am because yeah, the Mid Atlantic show is in Hampton. It's like 20 minutes from me, and then QuiltCon's coming to Raleigh next year. It's like 2.5 hours, 3 hours. Road to Virginia's an hour and a half up the road. So I've got at least three quilt shows, big quilt shows I can go to, and then the Tidewater Quilt Guild, which is a fairly large guild in this area, has a quilt show every other June, so they'll have that again next year. I went last year, and it was it's a smaller show. I mean, it's a guild quilt show compared to a
Mhm.
national show or something like that. But there was some beautiful quilts there, and I'm really looking forward to going back again next June and checking that out again to see what they come up with.
It's it's amazing. I've really cut back, trying to really focus and start honing my skills a lot more around half square triangles and that because we had QuiltCon this year, right?
Hmm.
And so you start going and looking at what some of these people are producing, and it's like, wow, I shouldn't even say that I do quilting. It's a, and I forget, right? Some of them, we all start at the same place, but the talent that you find when you go to these shows and the inspiration is, I think we all need that sometimes. We get so indoctrinated in our own little world that, we forget what others are working on and doing.
Yeah, and that's so true. It's one thing that I loved about going to the quilt shows. Like, you look at the best in show and you're like, that's absolutely amazing. I could never do that. And that's okay. You don't have to be able to do what those folks have done. It's good inspiration. It may give you some ideas or just see what can be done. And then, I mean, I'll talk about that more in a video that I plan to release this week. But even if it's not perfect, it's still fantastic. Like the quilt behind me that got second place in the state fair this year, that's got a bunch of mistakes in it. None of my quilts are perfect, but you just if you put out your best work, it's good. You are better than what you think you are, and yeah, just do your best work. And if yeah, again, you're the only one, and a lot of times you're the only one that's ever going to notice those mistakes. Um, and if you look at it 12 months later, you're probably going to forget where they are too. So
Yeah, we do become kind of hyper focused sometimes, I think, on our own work and what's happening. I just sent something to someone the other day, and I was like, "Oh, I wish I had done this, this, and this." And they text me today and go, "Wow, this is amazing. This was so much better than I thought." And blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Yeah," and it's got two mistakes that are driving me nuts, and yet,
hmm
and it's like I guess we are our own worst critics at times.
we are, we truly are. I wholeheartedly believe that. So sorry.
No, no, you're fine. You've been getting out and doing more shows, right? So you did the state fair this year in Virginia,
hmm
and are you got any other shows coming up that you're entering?
No current plans. I would like to enter something into the Mid-Atlantic Quilt Show at some point. I've got the Wizard of Oz quilt I'd like to enter. Now, I have no expectation of getting a ribbon there. That would be a put it in there to let people look at it thing.
Hmm.
Because, like I've seen even quilts that have gotten first place in the State Fair of Virginia don't do diddly squat in this because it's a whole different level of competition. I would just like to see the quilt hang up there and just be proudly displayed for everybody to see at some point. So, um, yeah, I think competitive wise, I think the state fair is it for me. I'm quite happy at that level. I don't know that I want to go any higher. So, I mean, I think I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'm having fun with that. And if it doesn't become fun, I don't want to be part of it. So,
No, I get that. We have our Quilt Club has our biannual show. So February is our show in 26. So we do even years, and
Okay.
I've toyed with whether or not I'm going to enter a quilt, or I may end up entering something in the embroidery category because I've been doing quite a bit of uh, different things in the embroidery realm, and that's where my original skill set was. Right, I had a commercial embroidery business for 5 years, and really kind of cut my teeth on that. It was funny. I was like, yeah, I have no interest in sewing. I don't want to sew. Don't want to know anything about sewing.
Right.
And 10 years later, decided I wanted to become a quilter. And
I know it's
all,
funny how that happens.
all right, let me put my glasses on and look at the chat because it has been busy.
I know I see that. We've got a bunch of people watching, which is always nice.
Yes. So Russ was first in tonight. Russ is all excited because he's getting ready to go on a Stitch in Heaven cruise
I know.
with
I knew that was
Stephanie.
coming up soon.
Yeah. So, so welcome in, Russ. Julie's here. Thanks for being with us, Julie. Miss Charlotte is here. Katrina says, "Good afternoon, everyone. The sun made a wonderful trip across the skies today. First time since before Wednesday. We had dinner on the dock tonight with seagulls and pelicans as our companions." Sounds like she's living the life.
I know. Yeah, it hasn't been sunny here. We've had a nor'easter come by and kiss the coast. Apparently some flooding around in some low-lying areas, but we didn't get nearly as much rain or wind as they had predicted, so we're quite thankful for that.
We've had rain all day Friday, on and off all day yesterday, and on and off today, which is, when
Yeah,
you live in the desert, you appreciate the rain, right? We get it 5 days a year, but when you get it 3 and 4 days at a time, it's like, wow, I forget that wet stuff falls out of the sky.
I know. Yeah, I think Andy was talking about that yesterday, and I was like, you guys don't get that much out there, so
No. Balloonist is here from Tucson. Welcome in, Balloonist. Katrina. Irish Lady is here.
Miss
Good.
Linda,
And Alex with Living and Crafting with MS is here. Hey, Alex.
good to see her as well. I think she was live with William and crew last night, if I remember correctly.
Oh, wow.
I think
They,
so. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I'm pretty sure I saw Jess and William, and I'm pretty sure Alex was hanging out with them. So,
very nice.
all right.
And then Joydy's here. Welcome in, Miss Joydy.
Miss Joydy's always a hoot. I like Miss Joydy a lot.
She keeps wanting to see my quilt kit collection. I was like, I'd be embarrassed to show anyone how many quilt kits I've got. I like the vote button.
Yes, because we had a election that year. I forget. I don't know what election we had in 2019, but
Would have
yeah,
been governor, wouldn't it?
no, because governor they're voting for that this year, and that's every 4, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, my wife's saying it is, and she was a U.S. history major and stuff, so she in government, so she knows the stuff. Yeah, I don't know what they were voting for that year, but I know they had an election. I wouldn't have made because I tried to do the different events that we had while we were here, like you just Neptune. We had this Neptune festival down at the beach that she volunteered at. We had a hurricane roll up the coast. Um, yeah, there must have been some sort of I don't know. Maybe it was a local election. I don't remember what it was in 2019 because it wouldn't have been the presidential. It wasn't the governor. So I don't know. Maybe it was Senate or something. Who knows?
But it's really reflective. It's kind of a cool timeline to what happened when she was there with you all.
Oh, okay. My wife's saying it might have been, because 2020 was going to be the presidential election, and they were already starting to talk about it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I made it for some reason but I don't remember now.
Mm. Runs with Scissor. Melissa is here. Welcome in, Melissa.
Oh, yeah, Miss Melissa's nice. I got to meet her last year at QuiltCon too. I got to meet quite a few people there, which was really nice.
Yeah, I didn't get to meet so many when we were here in Phoenix. I didn't we had originally planned to go for a couple of days and ended up going just on Saturday. So we
Hmm.
really kind of did ourselves a disservice. If it comes back to Phoenix in 27, we will definitely look at spending more time and really hoping to do some more networking.
Yeah, it's doable in a day. Like I did Raleigh in a day because I didn't want to stay overnight. You know, it was close enough.
Yep.
I figured I could just run down, and I was more interested in just meeting up with the other, the other viewers and the other content creators, more so than doing a lot of shopping. The only shopping I did while I was down there was a skein of knitting yarn for my wife.
Mm.
Um, Hang on. But I don't tend to buy a lot of fabric at quilt shows for whatever reason. So,
I don't usually walk away with much cut fabric, but I tend to usually walk away with way too many patterns. So I have drawers full now. I found the other day as we were trying to rearrange the house, and then I'm a sucker for kits. I think I have 31 Halloween kits,
mm.
and then I know I have over 50 Christmas kits, and I'm like, after moving and unpacking and rearranging this time around, I was like, you know what? I am not buying another kit. And then one popped up the other day that I really, really wanted. So I sent it to my enabler friend, Russ, and said, look, aren't you proud I didn't buy it? And he goes, well, it says it's shipping November of 26. I was like, oh my God, I missed that. So I went on and bought it. I figured by then I'll be ready for another kit.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I bought a few kits a while back when they had Craftsy and they were doing all those. They sold kits. And a
Yep.
lot of them, like especially the ones on clearance, you could buy the whole kit, like the pattern and the fabric for like 45, $50. Like I just gave myself a $50 limit, and I got some really nice kits from them. But I had like what was it, 2021, I think it was, or 2022. I had like 5 or 6 of these kits that were either partially started or not even opened, and I just gave myself a goal that I was going to finish the quilt tops on those that year, and I missed that deadline by about 8 hours.
Oh, no
So
way.
that's okay. I mean, it was close. So that wasn't too bad. Melissa's asking me, am I planning to go to Raleigh next year? Yes, I am. I'm probably going to go down on the Saturday again, because I can leave here at like 6 o'clock in the morning, be there when they open, and then just take off, when it closes. So I'll go down, say hi, and meet everybody and all that good stuff, and then head out. Because I've discovered that modern quilts are not really my jam. So it's for me, it's more the networking and just meeting everybody and hanging out more so than going to see the quilts.
No, and it's always fun. I mean, it's just, I don't, it's a camaraderie, right? Just to kind of
Oh,
be
it
there with
is.
folks that all share the same interest. And I don't know. I did enjoy the day that I went in Phoenix. I just wish I had taken more advantage of it.
Yeah. Well, your locality, if it goes back to Phoenix, if it does, I mean, you have the flexibility to do that. So,
Yeah, yeah, makes a big difference. We're probably 45 minutes from there.
oh, there you go. It's
So
not too bad.
no, no, I drive that every day to work or 3 days a week. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Brian
Brian
says,
says,
great quilt. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, I'm really happy at this. I didn't realize I had as many blocks as I did. But once I realized I had enough to make, because I was like, if I have enough to do a lap quilt, I'm just gonna put it together, and because otherwise, by the time I finish another 60 blocks, it'll be, you know, poor Misha will probably be having grandkids. So,
no, it's
but
crazy.
I'm really happy now that it's actually getting done and put together. So,
So Brian says he watches your channel every Saturday morning with coffee from his couch, but he can't say hi, but he is always there.
well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I love when people say hi in the chat or hi in the comments because it's always neat to know where folks are watching from. But I understand, and it's perfectly okay. If you're watching from the TV or that sort of thing there, and it's especially the TV, it's hard to comment from there. So that's perfectly fine. But thank you so much for supporting me. When I started my Saturday morning, there was nobody on Saturday morning. It was like a desolate wasteland. I was like, is there a reason for this, or is it just an untapped market? I figured, you know what, it works for me. We'll see what happens. And if 15 people show up, I'll call it a win. And now we have 70, 80, 90 people every single week, you know, hopping up that early in the morning. So I'm obviously doing something right.
Oh, I think you do a lot of things right. You, I always enjoy your channel. You always have some amazing guests on, and um, just so willing to share so many different things. I love the stories in the trivia games and the different things that you bring to your channel.
Yeah, I haven't done a trivia game on the channel in a while, and I really need to do that again. That'd be a lot of fun. So we'll have to sit there and come up with some um, yeah, come up with some questions on that. So I have a question for you now. We were talking a little bit earlier about Donnell down at Donna's retreat. I know Becca's got one next year on a cruise ship. I think what you said, Russ was going on I think it's basically a quilting cruise too, right?
Yes, yes.
And then I saw something about you are hosting one. Apparently, I missed a memo that everyone's supposed to have one. Like I'm missing the boat. Like,
So we actually found an amazing retreat center here in the Glendale area. So it's actually a lady that used to own a quilt shop up in Oregon, up in Sisters, and they
okay,
sold and moved down here for different reasons. But she's actually got a 5,800 square foot home that she rents out. So it'll house up to 14. It's 5 bedrooms with like 8 baths in all this big area. So we decided that we wanted to do something a little bit different and bring a different spin to retreats. So we're hosting our first one in New Year's Eve this year, and so we've had pretty good activity on the registrations. We've been happy. We're not filled yet, but we also know we're still new to the market, right, and new to the um, into this. And then we actually have a men's retreat scheduled for Memorial Day weekend in 26.
thank you. Well, that's awesome. That sounds really good.
Oh, Jody
Yes.
says, "Are we doing a sewing bee tomorrow?" We are not. So I do. I try to do the holiday quilting bees on all the different holidays, but unfortunately, I can only do those on the holidays that my company has chosen to observe. So the next one will be November 11th, which will be Veterans Day.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, no, tomorrow's not a holiday for my company either, but I took it off because I work primarily with Canadian customers, and tomorrow's Canadian Thanksgiving. And so I was like, if I go in the office tomorrow, I'm going to be sitting there twiddling my thumbs, not doing it a whole lot. My boss would be like, "What are you doing, Sean?" So I was just, you know, it's a quiet day. I'm going to take advantage of this and take the day off. Plus, um, Amanda and one of our kids is off tomorrow too, so I figured I could hang out and spend the day with them. So that, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, Danielle, welcome in. Thanks for being here with us.
She must have heard us talking about her.
I think she did. So I have been trying to get, so I have been doing in the hoop mug rugs, been trying to knock these out
Oh, that's nice.
because I decided I wanted to make those for the team for Christmas. So I've been doing some different patterns and getting those done. So in between cutting fabric and that, I'm working on a 3 yard quilt, and it's called the Stellar. And I forget what book it was. It's so bad, Sean, that I had all the material. I starched it all, cut it all, got it all set together, set it with the pattern book. And that was like 6 weeks ago. So this weekend, I was like, oh, that's a quilt you need to start working on. And I had to go back and resort all the fabric and everything because I couldn't remember what pattern I cut all this stuff for. It's like,
See, that's why I think a lot of us need like a journal or a book or something where we can write this stuff down, you know, because yeah, sometimes you're like, where did this come from? It was like,
yeah,
I've had situations like that too. It was like, oh, there was this piece of like a fat quarter of fabric I pulled out. It was a really pretty piece of fabric and I used it for something. And somebody asked me where I got it from, and I'm like, I don't have the foggiest idea. I don't know where it came from. I think I know where it came from, but I'm not sure. I think someone gifted it to me, but I wouldn't testify to it.
No, it's and funny what we end up, getting into. So, um, I had seen, I guess there's a book out there that's about the little ghost who is a quilt, and it's a children's book, and it talks about, I guess, his parents all are sheet ghosts, and he ends up his covering is a quilt, and
Oh,
there's
that's
this whole,
fun.
so there's this whole storyline that goes with it, and I thought, oh, that might be cool for the grandkids and that, and of course I forgot about it. So Keepsake Quilting this morning had the kit on sale for 25% off, and I thought, well, being one that can't resist kits, maybe I'll grab that because I still think it would be cute for the grandkids. So I texted my daughter and said, hey, do you think next year they'll be too old? Because I can tell you by the time dad gets it this year, it's not getting, put together, sewn, quilted, and shipped all the way to Virginia. So,
Right. I
but,
know you never think about the holiday stuff until it's too late.
yeah, and that's what I keep thinking. I'm working ahead. I mean, like I have a lot of most of my gifts are done, at least for my small family in that. But then it's like they're still, then I'm like, oh, I wish I'd done this for this person or done this one for this. And
That's 6 and
so
8.
this is the quilt I'm working on. I'm using what's called Dasher. And I really fell in love with this fabric.
That's really pretty.
And so I had ended up buying a couple of yards of it and used it all on a wall hanging and a table runner. And then I thought, but I really want to quilt that. So I had to order more of this fabric because it's last year's fabric. So I had a really hard time finding it. And I was like, I really just want to make a quilt out of that. And then somebody goes, well, is that for you? And I was like, well, I don't know. It's just the satisfaction of using that fabric for a quilt. I don't know
You
where it's
figure it
going
out.
to end up.
Yeah, that's a good question too. Like, do you often have an idea who the quilt's for, or you just make stuff that looks pretty and then you figure it out later on?
And see, I do a combination. So a lot of times, um, I'm specifically making a quilt for a gift for a certain purpose or person. And then other times I'm quilting it going, wonder where that's going to end up. So I'm probably about 60/40.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say probably similar here. I usually sit to myself and go, okay, is it staying in the house or is it leaving? And then I figure it out from there. Apparently, Melissa has that fabric, she says. So there's an option for you. Donnell, I am working on the Misha quilt, which is the applique quilt with all the different applique blocks. You've probably seen this on the podcast recently. These are the 5 states that Misha visited while she was here. And then Reese's, because the girl's obsessed with Reese's. And then this is the logo for the Jamestown settlement, which John is probably quite familiar with.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's one of the ships. I think it's what the Constant. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. So yeah, I figured I'd get a couple more of these sewn together while I was here. I figured that'd be a nice, easy project. So all I have to do is put sashing on it, and that's pretty much it. So I really can't mess too much of it up.
Now, Sean, do you long arm or are you still sending
No,
your stuff out?
I quilt. I try to quilt everything myself on a domestic machine. I don't have a long arm. Long arm scare me. If I needed the service of a long arm, I have a friend that has one, or I'll just send it out and let someone else play of it and support a small business that way. Yeah, I just don't see myself. Well, I don't have the space or the money for a long arm either. So plus, I figured by the time I bought one and set it up and learned how to use it and everything else, I could pay someone to make do many quilts for me. So I think I'll just leave it at that. I won't say never say never, but at this time, no, I don't have any plans to get one.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate when I got mine. I ended up paying less for the entire setup than the software alone would have cost me.
Right.
Um, but at the end of the day, there's days I walk by and I'm like, girlfriend, you should be stitching something. Like you should be working because you cost way too much money just to sit there and look at me.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I can do, and I prefer to do the smaller quilts anyway. Like if I can do like lap size or below wherever I can, that's my preference. And those I can easily do on this machine here. It's got a decent throat space on it, so I seem quite happy with that. Miss Janet's here with us.
Hey, Miss Janet, welcome in.
All right, and then that one doesn't need one. Okay, let's see what else we got going on.
I tell you what, for me, it is hard to believe how quick the holidays and everything else were coming up. I was like, guys, because somebody asked me the other day, said, "Are you doing a quilt miss? Are you doing this?" And I was like, "No, I've never kind of gotten into that." Last year, I did get a Missouri Star box for the third year, and I did get her box, Jenny's box, again this year. But I ended up doing my unboxing like every Sunday or Monday or something, um, because it's just it was gets to be so much to try to post every day and still work, and it's like Halloween's almost here, Christmas is all it's like where did the year go?
I know it just flew by. Like I've done, I tried doing Vlogmas a couple of years, and it just, like you said, with working full time and everything else, it just doesn't pan out well. So for me, so last year, or a couple of years ago, I decided I'll do it in October, posting
Mhm.
something every day, and that worked out well because it's not quite as crazy in that. But this year, it just kind of snuck up on me. I had an idea of what I wanted to do, and it just didn't happen. And I was just like, you know what, I could try and throw something out there, but it's not going to be as good as I want it to be. So it'll. I just decided to either postpone it till next year, or in maybe have February, do it in February or March or April or May, or just wait till next year. So, we'll see what happens. But
Well, I do think a lot of us creators pack so much in at the end of over the holidays, over the next couple of months. It's like I've thought about, well, what would I rather do come February or come April? Because I think the space is a little bit more open,
yeah,
and you can have a lot more variety. I love Christmas, I love Halloween, but um, there's a lot more to our craft, right?
well, I did a Christmas in July collab with who was it? Andy, Amanda, Jess. I'm missing somebody. Oh, and oh, I can picture her now. Oh, I can't remember her name. Jeez, I'm horrible. Amber. Yeah, yeah. And we did a Christmas in July. We did like a little gift exchange, and that was really fun because I love the idea of doing it in July because back home Christmas is in the middle of summer, and so that kind of gave me, a little taste of home. So you could always do Christmas in July as well, and that'd be a good time for us to get out there and start some Christmas sewing because, yeah, like you said earlier, like the year just flies by. You got July and you're thinking, okay, it's 100 degrees outside, and then you blink and it's already November 30th and you haven't started your Christmas sewing yet. So that's something fun to consider next time around as well.
Yeah, I had not thought about that. That was one of the big adjustments to moving to Phoenix was the first couple of years out here. It's still so warm. It's funny. I was talking to my daughter. She's in Southwest Virginia, and she was talking about, well, the temperatures change so much, and it's cold in the mornings and that. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because like I woke up the other morning, it was 78 here, and of course
Hmm.
we're still hitting 99, 101. And she goes, yeah, she said, you just don't live in the real world anymore. And I'm like, well, that's what made it hard for me with Christmas the first couple of years. You grow up with a cold Christmas and everything changes, and you're eating chili, and um, you don't have that, then it takes a while to kind of re-gear your mind a little bit.
I'm still not used to the cold Christmas, and I've been doing it now for 20 some years.
Really?
Yeah, it still feels weird to me. I still want it to be warm. There was one year here in Virginia, it was like 75 degrees, and went back to work the next day, and my boss is like, "I bet you were happy yesterday." I was like, "Yeah, it would have been nice if it was like 15 or 20 degrees warmer, but I'll take what I can get."
No.
So,
No,
yeah, it's weird how what you get accustomed to.
yeah, it's interesting because every year we take the grandkids to the beach, and we always go back to Myrtle Beach. And we lived in South Carolina when my daughter was younger, so she has a lot of memories about being in South Carolina, And so it's interesting. That's the first beach the kids, grandkids went to, and all that. And we've been going now 5 or 6 years, and I keep asking, like, each year, like, do you want to go somewhere else? And she goes, well, it's kind of like our second home. It just feels like home. And I'm like, well, we're only here a week, every year. But she's like, but it's so familiar. It's
Yeah,
like
huh?
that's what she wants. And, I get it.
Yeah, we were kind of like that too. Like we would go to the same little beach community each year because like we lived like 4 hours inland, so we'd do the same thing. It was right around Christmas time too because we'd get off for summer vacation right before Christmas. So yeah, we'd hop in the car and well, my parents bought a camp like we call it a caravan, but it's like a camper basically, and we'd take it over and park it in the park, caravan park by the coast. And my grandparents would usually stay there for a couple of weeks before we came across, and then when we were done, we'd just hook it up and take it back home with us. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I associate with the summer vacations and Christmas too. Like a lot of times we spent Christmas at home, with the family, but we're always at the beach close to that. And I could do that today, but Virginia Beach oceanfront in the middle of winter is not the most pleasant place to be because it's always windy and cold and
No, the
all that
last,
jazz.
I used to do a lot of half marathons. So I've done the Shamrock. I've done, all the different ones. And one of the last ones I did was, I think it was a 5 miler, and it was the Santa Run.
Yep, they still have that.
And the year that we did it, we set the world record for the most Santas, and had to be in costume and all that. And it was really cool. But I tell you what, you appreciated having the costume on because it was plenty cool to, you know, you didn't have to worry about being overheated in that costume.
Yeah. So since you were a runner or are a runner, I did a half marathon. I've done some 10Ks and 15K, and then my favorite race would have been the one in Sydney, the City to Surf, which is where you started in downtown Sydney and ran 15K all the way out to Bondi Beach.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, it's like one of the biggest fun runs in the world. It's like you and 85,000 of your closest and dearest friends,
Yeah.
is how I like to say it. Anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, but yeah, like so I was doing the training and stuff for the Sydney race because I wanted to try and qualify in one of the front groups so I wouldn't be stuck with 1,000 other people on my way. And I succeeded, and it was nice because you qualify in my part of Virginia. It's as flat as a tack, and you're all at sea level, so it was nice and easy. But I preferred actually running in the cold. Like I think I did a 15K once when it was like 32 degrees outside or 0 degrees Celsius, and I'd much rather do that than run when it's 85, 90 degrees outside. So I'm not sure if you're the same way. I'd love to hear Melissa's input on this since I know she does a lot of running, and anybody else.
Yeah, I
If
can
you,
tell you probably the worst run that I did um, was at Virginia Beach, and I
uh-huh,
actually did it a few weekends. And I think it was a rock and roll marathon, half marathon, but it
right.
was Labor Day weekend every year.
Oh, that was always like horrendously hot. Yeah, I looked
Yeah,
at that race and I was like, yeah, no, no, thank you.
but what was
It,
cool is part of the um, part of the military base. You ran on part of the Navy base and that.
yeah,
And it
Fort
was funny,
Story.
but yeah, they were standing out there and they'd have hoses, that they were trying to, dry, cool you off a little bit or handing you cups of ice and that. And I was like, I really should just be smarter than this, right? I mean, it's like, this is just really, it just takes a toll on your body.
Yeah, they've discontinued. They haven't. I think that the last rock and roll they had here was about 3 or 4 years ago, and I think the timing of the race was probably one of its death knells, to be honest, because yeah, it was always like a million degrees that weekend. So,
Carl's here. Carl is my buddy from Florida. He's working on a special surprise that we'll have on the channel uh, hopefully soon.
oh, very
So
nice.
I met Carl at Stitch in Heaven last year when I went to their New Year's Eve retreat.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, one of the training runs I did for that year was in Richmond. It was a 10K run, like through downtown Richmond and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And it was a lot of fun. And yeah, I think it snowed for about the last 3 kilometers. Because yeah, the weather report like the day or two before was kind of iffy, and Amanda's like, I don't know if we should go, and I'm like, well, I needed so many times, like so many races, 10K or more, and I was kind of running out of options. So I was like, well, if it's not terrible, I'll go up there. And thankfully, it broke. Like it snowed a little bit the morning of, and then it rained a little bit, and then it dried, and then yeah, the last little bit, as I'm coming down the last few corners, yeah, it was just pouring down snow. So yeah, I've done a 10K in the snow. I've done one half.
Yeah, I will have to say I have not done any in the snow. I did the crawling crab
Mm-hmm.
at Hampton
Hampton.
uh,
Yep.
and did that in the rain. And did I did Richmond, and we actually ran Richmond Motor Speedway,
Oh, that's
and
fun.
I did that in the pouring rain. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's bad when it takes like a week later, your shoes are still wet. I mean, it's just like, wow.
Yeah. I think there's two races on my bucket list that I'd like to do someday. The first one would be the mini marathon in Indianapolis.
Hmm.
It's a half marathon, and you actually do a lap around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And I don't know if they still do it, but the one in Detroit where you do the half marathon, where you start in Detroit, you go run across the Ambassador, I think it's the Ambassador Bridge over to into Windsor, Ontario, and then you come back through the tunnel. So you actually get to run in two different countries.
Oh, I never even thought about that. Yeah, that would be cool. I did a few years ago. So a few years ago, Rock and Roll actually had it that if you could join like their group
Like
or
a s
whatever was like $500, but you could run every marathon, half marathon they had.
Yeah, it was like a season pass thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
saw that.
I liked that, and I had done quite a few because I've done New Orleans, but I ended up doing San Francisco
Mm.
because I was able to run the Golden Gate Bridge,
Oh,
and
that's
that
fun.
that was just really cool. It's just like how many times are you going to be able to just go back and forth on your own across the Golden Gate Bridge?
Yeah, definitely. I've actually run across the Sydney Harbour Bridge. I
Oh
did that.
wow, have you really?
Yeah. Well, they have a big pedestrian thing, so I mean, you could run across the Sydney Harbour Bridge whenever you felt like it. But yeah, like I finished the city to surf down there, and I figured, you know what, I might not get another chance to run across the Sydney Harbour Bridge for a long time, so I hopped off the train a little early, ran across the bridge, and then hopped back on the train to get back to the hotel. So that was a lot of fun, being able to run across one of the iconic structures in the world.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
okay.
it's always fun to listen to a lot of the international stories, right?
Yeah.
Zaza always brings some different. It's because we are spoiled in the U.S. and we forget about all the culture and things that are outside of the U.S.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, like the London Marathon would be fun to do, for instance. It's like, yeah, but I was just thinking of ones here. Um, yeah, here local in the US. Yeah, I saw that season pass thing with rock and roll, but I looked at it and I was like, well, the only ones within driving distance for me is Virginia Beach, which was in the middle of September, and I was like, no, thank you. And then DC's, and I was like, well, that's not going to pay for itself, so I might as well just, I'd be better off just paying the 2 entry fees. But yeah, if you're close enough where you're able to travel enough where you can go to 3 or 4 races, it's definitely a great value.
Yeah, they changed a lot of things, I think, after they got purchased by Iron Man,
Oh,
and
okay.
not quite what they used to be. I did the Florida Fort Lauderdale half marathon in February this year. So I did that 3 weeks, 4 weeks after I had nasal surgery. So
Mm.
I did accomplish it. I did get my trophy, but that was about it. But my goal has been to always run a half marathon in every state.
Oh, there you go. That's a good idea.
So I've got 17 done, but quilting takes a lot of my attention too, Sean.
I know, me too. I'm not built to be a runner right now. I need to go lose a bit of weight before that happens again. So apparently we've got a few people here. Brian says he only runs if there's a sale on fabric. Sally says that she's with Brian on that one. And Zaza says she'll only run if there's something really bad chasing me. Even then, I'm likely to hide somewhere. Well, something bad's really chasing you. You don't have to be the fastest. You do have to make sure you're not the slowest.
That's right.
Just make sure there's someone else. Yeah, as long as someone else is a little slower than you, you're usually okay.
You got to make sure you're in shape though for like QuiltCon and these events because you got to be able to move to get your fabric and your free samples. And it was um, it was amazing to me when we went to QuiltCon how people were fighting over like, well, they're giving patterns away, and there was one of the booths we went to that you could spin a wheel to get something, but people were waiting like an hour to spin the wheel, and I'm like, guys, I mean, I like a freebie and a goodie just like anyone, but I'm not standing in line an hour. It's just unless they're giving me a long arm or a new sewing machine or
Yeah, no, no, thank you. I don't do crowds. If they'd said something like that, I'd been like, yeah, okay, you'll go have fun. I won't be joining you. Let's see. Zaza says that her daughter's boyfriend did the Sydney run. He's from Manly. We love Manly. It's a nice little coastal community just north. It's part of Sydney. You can take like a ferry ride from downtown Sydney and Circular Quay up to Manly. It's like a 30-minute ride. You get to see like the entrance to Sydney Harbour, and it's just like a beautiful little community, and like a nice little beach and that sort of thing there as well. So I know exactly where it is. It's one of my favorite places in Sydney. It's one of Amanda's favorite places to go. We always hop on the ferry and go to Manly, as well. So yeah, quite familiar with that area of the world.
So, Sean, when you were in Australia, were you more, because you said you were 4 hours from the coast, so were you
Yeah,
more mountainous up in the,
I was about halfway between Sydney and Brisbane. Yeah, we were up in the like the foothills of the mountains, basically.
okay. So, what did you think
So,
about Virginia when you first landed over here?
like where Roanoke, Harrisonburg,
Yep.
Stoughton, that sort of area actually reminds me a lot of home.
Oh,
Like
that's really
the topography is somewhat similar. Um, Charlottesville, that sort of thing. There, we probably had more plains on the one side, the mountains on the other, than those areas do. But yeah, the mountains themselves do remind me quite a bit of my area of the world. So it was very interesting, seeing that. Different types of trees. We had a lot more eucalyptus trees, of course.
Mhm.
No deer, more kangaroos and koalas and other creepy crawlies that people seem to be scared of. But yeah, and then yeah, the beaches are different here. A lot flatter. Ours are more hilly. Like I guess trying to think what the closest thing I've seen here would be. Parts of Maine, like the national park up there, the what's it called? I can't remember now. What's it called? I can't remember, the big national park. It's near Bar Harbor. And then like the coastal road over in California, just south of San Francisco, like the coastal road route. Is it not Route 1? 101, I think it is. That kind of reminds me too, like you see all the beaches and then all the hills next to it and that sort of thing there. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, I think sometimes too we don't appreciate the diversity that's just in the U.S. It's
Hmm.
I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in the Atlantic. I've been all over Florida. I've been all over Myrtle Beach and Georgia and all. And I remember when I moved out here, I was shocked at the Pacific and the fact that it's cold, that it's a lot more rocky, that
Yeah.
just don't have the ocean front like I was used to. And I remember talking to somebody one day, and I was like, "Yeah, I can't wait to go back to the beach. We love to get in the ocean and that." And they're like, "You can't get in the ocean. The ocean's cold." And I'm like, "No, not in June, July, and August. I mean, the ocean's plenty warm in the Atlantic." And they're like, "John, it's a big ocean. The ocean never gets warm." It's like, oh, there's someone that hasn't spent much time out of the West Coast.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I don't think I ever went into the ocean when I was out in California.
Mm-mm. Jordy says she makes many runs to the grocery store.
Well, there you go. Yeah, Melissa said she'd like to do the one in Detroit. That I think that would be fun. I think the idea of starting a race in the US and ending up in Canada for a little bit of it would just be a lot of fun. So,
Zaza says she has a huge eucalyptus tree in her garden, and it just had a 12-foot haircut.
oh wow.
That's huge. Is that normal for that size, for those trees?
Oh yeah, they get enormous. I mean, they're not, for them to be 40, 50, 60 foot tall would not be unusual down there. Same thing here with I don't know if you've seen them, those little Christmas trees you sometimes find in the grocery store. We call them Norfolk pine trees.
Hmm.
Um, they are native to Australia or Norfolk Island, which is about 300 miles off the coast of New South Wales and Queensland. And those you'll see them like along every beach on the east coast. And those things get to like 50, 60, 70, 80 foot high. Like they're enormous. Like I have one here in my home that I've been growing for several years, and it's like 5 foot tall now, and that's probably as big as it'll ever get. But yeah, I was like, I can't plant it outside because I mean the first frost here would kill it. But yeah, back home they just grow enormously tall. You'll have to go look that up sometime and take a look. You'll be absolutely surprised what these little pine trees that you see in the grocery store can grow into.
No, that's interesting. Because I've been up through Washington State, Oregon, with the redwoods and those type of trees, but um, had no
Oops.
idea.
You're right there. Okay. Do you need me to help you? Okay. Okay. There was just a big crash in the kitchen, and I wanted to make sure that Miss Nardi was all right. So,
It always does get our attention, doesn't it?
yeah. All right. Sally said she'd been to Cronulla many years ago for a wedding. Nice having someone local to drive us around Sydney was beautiful. Yeah, you definitely want someone to drive you around Sydney the first time. That place is not for the faint-hearted driving if you haven't been there before. First of all, because the roads are very narrow. There's not a lot of highways in Sydney, and most of the highways have a lot of stoplights and everything else. But secondly, usually arrive in Sydney jet lagged, and they're driving on the other side of the road too. So that's kind of a challenge.
That I've always wondered how did we select to drive on different sides of the road? It's like just doesn't make sense to me.
I've I will hazard a guess and say that the US probably picked it the right side, so they were the opposite of what King George was back in 1776. I could be wrong on that, but if I had to hazard a guess, I would say, like that would probably be the reason. I think they started on the left side of the road from when they were all back in the medieval days when they had, knights with their swords and stuff like that, and you held the sword in your right hand. And so you were on the left-hand side of the path, so that way, if someone was going to attack you, you were able to attack with your dominant hand. Whereas if you're on the right-hand side, you would have been using weaker hand to hit the person coming towards you.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would have never.
I think that's what the reason is. Don't quote me on that. I did not take medieval ancient history, but I read that somewhere once, and I think that makes a lot of sense. So,
Yeah, I never. I remember being in school. I never liked history. I never understood all having to learn all that old stuff. And now, one of the things I do enjoy watching is the History Channel and watching like
hmm
the food that made America or the businesses that make America and just the different ones and how Hershey went bankrupt 3 times before he really became Hershey and it's
we a lot about
amazing.
that the other week. We were actually up at his chocolate factory, and they told us that story, so it's really interesting. One of my favorite series on that channel actually is how the states got their shapes. That one's really interesting to go and watch if you haven't done so already.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's so much information out there. I find it interesting. Like, I think our children sometimes don't appreciate the ease of information, right? I mean, I
I
grew
know,
up with
right?
encyclopedias and a
hmm
actual card catalog. It's like,
Yep, me
guys,
too.
you understand, we couldn't Google something or now ask AI to help us find it. It was we had to put real effort out.
I know, because I was thinking about it, like, yeah, like we did a research project in the library, the go-to was the encyclopedia, but if you weren't the first kid there, you had to go figure it out a different way. That was the Google back in the day, was the encyclopedia. But yeah, they only had one or maybe two sets if you're lucky in the schools. So
Yep.
yeah, I didn't want to fight people, so I was like, you can all have the encyclopedia, I'll go figure it out a different way. So
Yeah, and it's just such a plethora of information out there, and it's just it's funny things we think of. I just ask AI real quick to tell me, and it's just
hmm
we have Alexa, we have Siri. It's just like um, we have so much at our fingertips, and yet I think sometimes we're less educated than we used to be.
I've definitely, I'm sure that's right in a lot of cases. So
Yeah.
there you go. Donnell says apparently Donna found a picture of she got pictures of a black bear at the retreat. I'm sure she did.
Oh, that would be cool. I
Yeah,
remember.
be good to see from a distance.
Yeah, we used to go to Gatlinburg and went to Gatlinburg for years. And everybody always talked about seeing black bears. We never saw a black bear. And probably the last time we went to Gatlinburg, which has been 20 years ago, we saw like a whole family of them walking across the street and the mountain and all that. And it was like, wow, that was just, you really, that's when you appreciate nature. It's
Oh,
like,
for sure.
so, Sean, we're coming up to the top of the hour. Tell us a little bit more about your channel, what's going on as we wrap up.
All right. Well, think we covered a lot of it at the beginning, but I know people popped in since um, we started. So yeah, I have a live at 8 a.m. Saturday mornings. So if you like to be up early, or you're an insomniac, or you can't sleep, or you want to watch the replay, either way, I do have a live. I usually have a guest each week because I find lives are more fun with a friend, and it's easier for me. So yeah, I do that. Sunday mornings, I have a podcast where I share what I've done over the last week. We also share some footage of any adventures we get up to, and we're always taking our exchange students out somewhere fun. So you get to see what we get up to, like state fairs and trips to Pennsylvania and all the different places around here. And then I do some other fun projects as well. I do a lot of what I like to call tiny piecing. I work with a lot of Art East Quilting Co. patterns and Elizabeth Hartman. So if you like seeing little stuff coming together, I'm definitely a good option for you. And yeah, just whatever piques my interest. So that is pretty much it for me, I think, right? Am I missing anything that you can think of?
No, I know you'll have some things coming up for the holidays and that, so people
Yes.
definitely want to stay tuned. I tell you, one of the things that I appreciate that you put a lot of effort into is Sean does have out on his channel a list of all the different lives and creators that are doing things. So you do a lot to help support our community, and yet you're
Thank
very
you.
busy between your family and your other activities and you definitely keep things rolling for all of us.
I do my best.
Well, Sean, I've enjoyed being with you. It's been a while,
Thank you.
and I appreciate having you on my channel for the first time.
We'll have to do it again.
Absolutely. So, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. If you're watching the replay, please feel free to leave a comment in that. And as always, I hope you all have an amazing week. And
Great.
Sean,
Thanks.
thank you.
Not a problem. Thanks for having us, and we'll see you all next time.
Have a good one.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.